Is the Christian right changing Canada? Say evangelical, and you might think of the American kind.
You have a malignancy called sin.
But there are plenty of evangelical Christians north of the 49, an estimated 4 million people, about 12% of the population. And many new immigrants of other religions share their socially conservative views.
Continue to desecrate marriage.
And the way evangelicals vote is changing. Pollsters say they are abandoning the Liberals for the Conservatives. It doesn't hurt that Stephen Harper has some conservative Christians in high-profile cabinet positions.
And God bless Canada.
The same-sex marriage debate lit a political fire. On radio,
today we will read straight from the Bible.
TV, online, from the pulpit, and on Parliament Hill, social conservatives are getting their message out. And about more than just marriage. Their network seems to be growing. There are now about 1,500 private evangelical schools in Canada. Special colleges train students to teach and enter politics. And a dozen think tanks and advocacy groups have sprung up. I spoke to Marcy MacDonald, who was a longtime correspondent for Maclean's magazine and is now the author of a new book, The Armageddon Factor, The Rise of Christian Nationalism in Canada. Here she is. Are you saying that the religious right in Canada is or could be as strong as it is in the States?
It certainly isn't as strong now, but in the States, what we're looking at now is the fruit of 30 years of organizing. And certainly it's getting a hold on the Conservative Party. It's the first time in recent weeks that I've noticed commentators referring to social conservatives and religious conservatives as Stephen Harper's base. No one considered that his base before. Economic conservatives were his base.
How closely is the movement here linked to the American Christian right?
More closely than I at first believed. And I didn't find an organization that has put down roots in Ottawa without an American source or source of influence.
You really think that? Do you think Stephen Harper's trying to repeat what happened in the States?
He may not want the results of the Tea Party movement, for instance, which is, I don't think, Stephen Harper's cup of tea, but I think that, yes, he wants a majority.
So you said that you and some people are worried about this growth. Why are you worried? Why?
I think it's alarming if we don't know what we're voting for, what we're choosing, what lies behind these policies. I would hate to see this country, which has become a model of tolerance and diversity, devolve into that kind of polarization.
Stephen Harper has long been careful to keep his distance from what we're seeing as some of the more extreme views of the religious right. But over the last few years, the movement has been gaining influence and access. Here are some of the major players and what they want from the federal government. First, the Reverend Charles McVitie, kind of a Canadian Jerry Falwell. He's that vocal and well-known. He works with a half-dozen groups, the Institute for Canadian Values, Canada Family Action Coalition, and is president of the Canada Christian College. He's lobbied hard against abortion, against gay marriage.
Members of Parliament need to be informed.
And against funding for that Pride Parade. He brags that his supporters get their way by rewarding or punishing Stephen Harper at the ballot box.
Stephen Harper knows who we are. He knows, he hears our voices.
C38.
Then there's Fatine Crisco, the fresh new face of the abortion debate. Crisco is the force behind For My Canada, a 4,000-strong youth lobby group pushing for more God in government. She claims some credit for the Unborn Victims of Crime bill, which she calls the first winnable pro-life bill in 2 decades. Crisco also started up The Cry, a series of anti-abortion prayer rallies. She's also a frequent guest of the government.
We've now had over 450 meetings with members of Parliament and senators, and been placed on a parliamentary committee as an honorary group, and just stuff like that. It's absolutely amazing what God can do.
James Lunny is a BC Conservative MP and the chair of a federal body called the Canada-Israel Interparliamentary Group. Lunny and some other members of the group are known as Christian Zionists, some of whom believe that the return of Jews to Israel will trigger the second coming of Christ. Then there's Brad Trost, a Conservative MP from Saskatoon. He's also spoken against funding for Toronto's Gay Pride Parade and was the first to publicly call on Canada to cut foreign aid money for abortion. Last year, he circulated a petition demanding the government stop all funding of Planned Parenthood. And last but not least, Stockwell Day, president of the Treasury Board. Day has ties to everyone we just listed and is a devout Christian. Though he was ridiculed in the media a few years back for suggesting that Adam and Eve walked with the dinosaurs, he's still widely seen as the leader of the religious right on the Hill. He's also linked to a group called Watchmen for the Nations, which says, "We believe God means Canada to play a role in preparing end time."
Is this just a political shift, or are you saying it's more fundamental than that?
Well, it is a political shift with this government, but what these groups have guaranteed is that it will be a lasting organizational shift. They've put down organizational roots. They have huge databases. They're very well connected online. So they have gotten themselves organized as a community, and they're not going away. That may
well,
be
the left
good.
wing was pretty entrenched.
That's right. And
held sway for many years.
That's
Maybe
right.
it's just the turn for somebody else.
Well, it may well be, and it's not my place to say where Canada should go. I just don't want people to sleepwalk into this, to blissfully harbor some idea of Canada that hasn't existed for some time. We have a very strong, organized Christian right. Not nearly as organized as in the United States, but it is growing, it is here to stay, and it's determined to have a voice in government. And the most militant wing is determined to turn Canada into a Christian nation.
And what does that mean?
It means governed only by born-again Christians, according to biblical precepts. And if it's a very small subsect of this larger conservative Christian movement, but they have a lot of power, and they're very noisy and very well organized. I think having a secular Canada where all faiths have a place and feel comfortable and welcome is what most Canadians still want.
And what about Stephen Harper? Where does he fit in that? Does he want
I think he wants a majority government, and that's his chief concern.
Is he willing to put more religion into government, or does he want to? Does he think that's a
I
good
would be
thing?
the last person to know the mind of Stephen Harper, but I think he has already put more religion into government. And it may not be a personal choice as much as a strategic choice. And I'm always reminded when people say, well, there's nothing really big happening. Everyone was sitting around waiting for him to suddenly bring in an anti-abortion law. That's not going to happen. It's going to be incremental.
If you've got comments about this, make sure you check out our website and let us know what you think. Please go to cbc.ca/The National. And just ahead on the program, Canadians in Haiti.